Hey there, everybody. Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. What are you doing to writing to heal in your business, intentionally or not lately? Let's go ahead and look at specifically of a different view at the same ocean. I'll show you what I mean soon. Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the Writing to Heal podcast. My name is Jenna O'Malley. I am your soul writer, author of sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references, such as the Myrna Annals. Book 1 and 2 have been sent their file updates, and hopefully by the end of September, Book 3 will be out there again for the first time in 2 years. I'm so excited. And Soul Bard Academy has launched its enrollment for its last class. Our next class our actual first meeting for this class, soulbard.exe, will be circa the 21st, I believe. Do check out my friends. Jess is here. How is everybody live on the replay? Do feel welcome to comment, like, sub, share, and if you want to know more, check the description box or bring a friend. So today we're looking at an old concept we've already visited around here. We've talked about how it's sometimes better to be a lighthouse instead of a boathouse. This is a concept that my coaches from Full-Time Purpose have kind of introduced into my life. So boathouses travel everywhere, but they don't exactly plant roots. Whereas kind of like a tree, a lighthouse stays stationary and it looks in a 360 view all around itself for feedback and to give out to help to others. I realized here recently, it is okay to want to kind of do what some people do when they go and visit the Outer Banks in North Carolina and go to a new lighthouse. So one of the fun things to do, I have not done this, but several of my husband's family members have talked about doing the lighthouse tour of the Outer Banks, and a couple of my friends who are authors who live in North Carolina have mentioned going to the lighthouses there before too. And it really got me realizing that, you know what? Not only are all of those lighthouses down there intrinsically and architecturally and more so different from each other, but they all have different views. And they kind of all point, I don't want to say they all point out to the same point of water, but you could stand in each one and pick a spot and point at the same spot and still have a completely different point perspective. For you, my artist friends, you understand really what I mean there. And I said, maybe it's okay for me to be in the same ocean and go to a different lighthouse with my business as well. And what's ironic is I had this topic planned for the last 2 weeks and was going to talk mostly about what it has been transitioning out of being a high school English teacher into a coach, business owner, editor, author. However, we got the notification that we are to be moving in about 2 to 3 months on Friday, not our choosing. And it's kind of playing into this topic literally now. I was going to go very metaphorical, figurative, reflective, nostalgic about being a teacher about it, and we still might go there a little bit, but I'm feeling about the very streaming space I'm sitting in all over again. Around this time last year, I started collecting clips to make a 1 year in review video of everything that had happened in my previous studio, all the good things. And I'm sitting here doing my social media planning this morning, and I'm wondering, do I do another one of those videos? I imagine over on my big channel, a lot of people are going to vote yes. I imagine the vote is yes, big yes. And I imagine that a lot of you also here are wondering, what does that mean for things here? I may have to go with this channel being vlog only style for a while to accommodate that. I've already spoken about this to my video editor, who has taken over scheduling some of the stuff in StreamYard for my lives anyway, as part of their duties. And they're like, it would be the difference of, do I schedule a live stream Or do I actually go through and edit a short vlog, because the vlog versions of things here tend to be 5 to 10 minutes long. And see, that's the thing. It might not become a want to. During the weeks I'm actively moving, it might become a have to. Same with my other channel. This is, maybe some stuff is going to have to not go on when I wanted it to go on. And, there's a lot of moving threads right now of we don't even have a place picked yet. We looked at a couple of places online, but we haven't had a chance because, it's a holiday weekend to schedule in to see anybody yet, because we were told 5:00 Friday on a 3-day weekend. So we really haven't had much chance to do other than gather research on options at this point. We'll put it that way. And there's a contestation of, are we moving to Pennsylvania? Are we staying on this side of town, on that side? There's so many options available, and there's so many lighthouses waiting for this studio to go and light it up. And that's what I really feel like it has been every time I look out into the audience. And some of my former teacher colleagues have reached out and they're like, at least when we stare at a camera as virtual teachers, we're talking with kids. You're talking to nothing. And I'm like, actually, no, I'm not. I'm talking to people who do show up because it resonates. And honestly, in some cases, I'm going to admit, y'all show up more than some of my students ever did in a virtual space, because, no offense, K-12 virtual, we know that a lot of kids attempt to do virtual so they can sit there, hurry up and get their schoolwork done, and then play video games all day. Now, mind you, I've also met my fair share of students who are doing the same thing, but it's because they have to go work full time, because I've taught mostly kids who are 16 and older my career. So, for those kids, that, to me, if you're doing something, or even like some of my kids, they're video game streamers and they're actually paying the rent for their parents because they're making that much money, or because they had to, Some of my students needed that, but at the same time, it is completely different with you all, because it's that element of my students aren't necessarily there by choice, regardless, they're there by law. So you guys, when you show up, it means the world to me. And I'm so grateful. Hey, Sam, it's good to see you. Sam was doing Breaking the Block earlier, and it got multi-streamed to several people's channels. So do listen in. It was a good talk on something I actually like to debate about with people. One of the questions was, do you call yourself an author or a writer? I call myself both for a reason. To me, they're synonyms. Look up their dictionary definition. Everything you asked and added was colloquial and preferential, and all okay with no judgment. But those are two synonyms that often get pitted against each other that shouldn't be. And it was such a good conversation in very positive, uplifting, non-judgmental ways. So thank you for taking a topic that sometimes does cause people to, Uno and Monopoly level end friendships. You know what I mean? So be what you want to be, and whatever lighthouse you want to light up, just own it. If you want to equate it to the lighthouse is your temple for your business, because, this meat sack is our temple, so the old phrasing goes, so be it. Decorate it how you want. Every single one of us, even if we don't do social media, no matter where we're being creative, we're being a light in a very, very dark world that is designed to only ever teach us lessons. In the Myrna Annals, they talk about how you cannot dream if you are not alive, because not being alive should symbolize that your dreams are, quote, complete, i.e. new level applies if you're a gamer, or respawn if you didn't meet the checkpoint, right? And yet I would venture to say that almost goes not just for your dreams, but what you actively do when you're awake. does indeed come down to actionable solutions. And I'm a person who has complex post-traumatic stress disorder. I live with insomnia, night terrors, anxiety, panic attacks. There's a reason why I chose to stay virtual after 2020, and it was solely not because I have really bad asthma. And that was part of it. But more so, it was the classroom did me no favors in an era where one class period I have a student asking me, will you give your life for me if someone breaks into this school? Only for another kid to be the kid that causes that first kid to ask that question. Do you know what I mean? And it's night and day. I had to do, we all understand this. You got to do what you need to do for your own social health, your own special, spiritual, emotional, whatever you want to call it, health. And that was a change of a lighthouse for me. Big time. Education became, being a K-12 high school English teacher became a dark place for me. A very dark place. I often told my husband prior to 2020 that my hour-plus long commute one way to get to work over the mountain sometimes just didn't seem worth it. And it wasn't just the kids, it was a lot the adults. You all who know teachers know that statement. But when I realized that I could literally give myself the permission to light up a new business, a new career, make a new choice, it just became a matter of what do you do to change from there. So when I originally scheduled this topic, my question to all of you was, where have you been lately? Where have you been lately? I know little kid me, a lot of my mentors often ask, what does inner child say? What does inner teenager say? I'm going to say, what is college me saying? What's young adult new? What is it? Not young adult new age me. that early 20s me. They would probably be the most. They would have the most to say. The person just starting their teaching career. We went through all this training for what? And sometimes turning that light off, the light of regret, is hard. It's not impossible. It's just a different kind of hard. I got looking back every year since I realized that really what I wanted to do was find a way to work with other authors for a living outside of just being a trad editor. Something good has happened, but I've had to let go of something too. So there is a balance to this move to a new lighthouse. It's going to do that whole, you can't take it with you, enjoy it while it lasts check-in. And if you're going through that right now, huge hugs to you. Huge hugs to you. My favorite time of year is upon us. My birthday is at the end of this week. And therefore, I love autumn. Mother Nature is even getting ready to change the colors to her lighthouse. Or if you will, as the poets of old say, she's getting ready to change her gown for the season. And normally it's full of gorgeous colors. The colors of something that's been largely a part of my logo, a phoenix. The colors of the root chakra. The colors of one of my favorite goddesses, Nephthys. The colors of rebirth. Now, if you listened to Thumbelina growing up, that cartoon movie talked about how winter comes in and kills everything. No, honey. Sometimes you need a cold shower to get rid of all the swelling and the ick and purge the system. That's kind of why in therapy, Rest and ice are the first two steps before you get to compression and elevation. Unless you live in a really beautiful rural area. This is true. In the winter, you can see the stars better in most suburban areas. Out where I used to live in the mountains, if you had a good clear summer night, you could see some stars, but way more in the winter. So just keep in mind, autumn can be the biggest harvest of your year. In the winter, my dear Thumbelina, is not unalived. December's not so dark. The sun's still all around you, honey. Just don't give up on you, because you know what? The lighthouse is going to circle back around again. Take the time to rest. Do a little bit of whatever therapy the body, mind, and soul calls for. Spring training is going to be here in a couple months. Take care of yourself. You've always been worth it.